The Three Marriages by David Whyte. The most important details in this book are the three love stories that illustrate how to nurture and enjoy all three of our life's marriages. These book bites show that, aside from our relationships with our romantic partners, we also have marriage-like relationships with our life vocations and our inner selves. Drawing from a wide array of historical examples, these book bites draw insightful conclusions as to how these three love stories work and how we can get the best out of them. The most important idea is that love brings foolishness, unfamiliar paths, and deaf ears, and that we often need to let go of our familiar and comfortable lives for the sake of love. Robert Louis Stevenson's love story is an example of how the blind pursuit of love can lead to ignoring advice from others. In his early 20s, he hitchhiked to London to surprise his holiday girlfriend, ignoring the advice of older drivers. When he arrived, her expression told him that their affair was over. Stevenson and Osborne eventually divorced their husband and committed fully to each other, creating a partnership of labor and love that laid the foundation for Stevenson's success. It is important for lovers to take a period of pause before they get married, so they can be sure they've chosen the right spouse, and avoid ending up like Charlotte Lucas in Mr. Collins and Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. The most important details in this book are that to discover one's vocation, one must follow their passions and listen to clues in the world around them. Additionally, one must embrace and push through the frustration and depression that can come with pursuing one's passion. Finally, one must be open to the possibility that one's passion may be the gateway to another, greater one. These ideas are important for those looking for their vocation, as they can help them discover the work they love in both the beautiful and unpleasant aspects of the world. The German poet Rainer Maria Rilke captured the feeling of being stuck on something when he compared it to trying to pass through solid rock. He also realized that such moments are no less valuable than the ecstasies of creative expression. To turn these negative experiences into positive ones, we can start by surrounding ourselves with inspiring friends and diving into long-suppressed aspects of ourselves. Rilke's mother used to dress him up in dresses when he was a child, and his father sent him off to a very authoritarian Prussian military school. When he was struggling for inspiration, he could come back to the tragic richness of these childhood traumas. Marriage is not for everyone, and Jane Austen's classic novels are perfect fantasy material for modern singles longing for a time when finding a partner was so much easier. Jane Austen was born at the end of the 18th century, a time when marriage was the most important event in a young lady's life. At her aunt's house, she met a young student named Tom Lefroy, but marriage was not the main consideration when planning a marriage. Despite this, Austen wrote wildly excited letters to her sister Cassandra about every social gathering where she could potentially flirt with suitors. If Austen had gotten married, it's unlikely she would have blessed the world with her novel, as a married woman was expected to devote herself to taking care of her many children and supporting her husband's ambitions. However, people don't just feel love for others and for their vocations, they are also able to experience love for themselves, which we'll explore in the next book bites. The first step in encountering the self is to preserve or rediscover the innocence of youth, and it is never too late to get back in touch with your inner self. The author was asked as a student whether there was one God or several, and discovered that his answer responded to an entirely different question: do I feel safe or abandoned? Discovering this question allowed him to connect deeply with one of the core feelings of his inner self, including suffering and anxiety. Deirdre Blomfield Brown, a high school teacher, experienced this transformation first when she discovered an article on negativity written by Tibetan guru and teacher Chogyam Trungpa. This insight helped her learn that it wasn't negativity that was ruining her life, but rather her negative reaction to it. However, this does not mean we can live without anxiety and worry, which are universal, natural, and even useful feelings. Success does lessen our anxiety, but we often believe that if we only had enough success and money, our anxiety would disappear forever. Meditation is an alternative path to overcoming anxiety, as it allows us to find the part inside us that is not anxious about survival. It also provides us with a perspective from which we can observe our negative emotions and disempower them. Deirdre Blomfield Brown experienced this on her way to becoming Pema Chodron, as she sat alone with her pain and meditated on it all night long. To accept the self, we must first face ourselves before we can truly welcome others into our life. The most important details in this book are that Pema Chodron realized that her negative feelings were only a transient part of her, and that if she could accept her true self, she could liberate herself from the power of her anxieties. She also suggests that people who have faced and accepted themselves radiate such positive energy that their mere presence makes other people feel good. Finally, the author encourages readers to take time to reflect on their life and reflect on their relationships, work, and personal happiness, and to talk about it with a partner or a good friend. This will help them to nourish their soul and get closer to their true self.